Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about a not so popular car, and that's the Volvo C70. I am going to do a brief history of the C70 and talk in depth about the MK2, pretty much looking at the features, the engine variants, the colors and other aspects of the Volvo. The C70 is a two-door, four-passenger sport compact vehicle that was manufactured by Volvo Cars between 1996 to 2013, spanning across two generations, with the first generation running from 1996 to 2005. With the first gen, you could get a coupe or a soft top. You get a coupe that ran from 1996 to 2002 and the soft top that ran from 1997 to 2005. I've made another in-depth video of the first gen, be sure to check it out. Now let's get on with the second gen C70. The second gen was introduced at the 2005 Frankfurt Motor Show and went on sale in 2006. Designed by John Kinsey, this replaced the first gen C70. During this time, Ford acquired Volvo for $6.45 billion, which enabled Volvo and Ford to share some parts. Second gen C70 shared the same platform with the S40 from the same era. The platform was also on the C30. On the Volvos, the platform was called the Volvo P1 platform, and the platform came with the front-wheel drive and the all-wheel drive option. The all-wheel drive option, however, was only available on the S40 and the V50. The C30 and the C70 got the front-wheel drive only. The platform was designed by Ford and it was called the C1 platform. This platform was found on the Ford Focus hatch, the sedan, the convertible. Other models were the C-Max and the Cougar. On the Mazdas, the platform was called the BK and BL platform. The platform was shared with the Mazda 3, the Mazda CX-7 and the Mazda Biante. This affiliation with the car above is not looking good for Volvo. Selling prices in the UK range from £24,000 to £40,000 for the top trim level. The C70 came with different color options to choose from. Whilst it was considered not to be a sports car, the engines were quite relaxing and tended to be more of a cruiser. Although the second gen shared the same platform with the other models, it had twice the torsional stiffness compared to the first gen C70. You get the C70 in the following trim levels. You get the Sport Premium, the SE Premium, the SE Lux, the SE Lux Premium, and the Inscription, which came later on the facelift model. With the different trim levels, you could get electric seats, heated seats, blind spot monitoring, upgraded alloys, premium sound, xenon headlights, and interior color trim changes, and so on. I shall play a video from the early 2000s describing the dimensions and the suspension of the car.
The individual wheel suspension with Volvo's multi-link solution is designed to provide a combination of comfortable suspension and rapid exact steering response. The wide track and long wheelbase, plus a lower chassis, both front and rear compared to an S40, give the car extra stability.
Having owned a pre-facelift 2007 D5 automatic, I can say the car is well planted on the road. It's however not the best at cornering, and there's chances of oversteer if you push it to the limits, and due to it being a front wheel drive, there is a bit of torque steer from the T5 and the D5. And then it boosts. The C70 is able to sit 4 adults quite comfortably, with the rear leg room being about 33.9 inches.
The C70 has an advanced body structure and several new solutions that make it unique among convertibles. The new Volvo C70 shares a similar front structure concept with the S40 and V50. However, the C70 lacks the fixed roof that is vital for distributing crash forces in sedans and estates. So in the C70, crash forces from the front structure are distributed into the sill and the door. The secret behind the high door strength is a thick beam of aluminium. When it comes to side impact protection, the upper part of the B-pillar is missing compared to other Volvos. This is compensated by extra support for the lower part of the B-pillar. The door and sill sections are also reinforced, and catchers help keep the door in place during a crash. The occupants in the front seats have side impact airbags to cover both the chest and hip areas, and the new door-mounted inflatable curtain helps to protect the head. The safety engineers have fine-tuned the curtain to be extra stiff, and it deflates slowly to help provide additional protection if the car rolls over. The rollover protection also includes hydroformed A-pillars in extra high-strength steel, seatbelt retentioners in all 4 seats, and rollover protection bars that come up behind the rear seat passengers. In a rear-end collision, the horseshoe-shaped member behind the rear seat and the double metal wall behind the backrest contribute to reducing the risk of intrusion into the passenger compartment. The ROPS bars are also pushed upwards to reduce the risk of the passengers being hit by flying objects from the car behind. The Volvo Whiplash Protection System, WHIPS, is also standard in the front seats.
You could option for a navigation system as part of the package. This came with a remote control which will control the functions of the car, and the screen will pop up and close as well. Personally, I do feel that the navigation system does look dated now, and it does really date the car as well. You could get 3 options for a sound system.
The first option was the performance package, which had a 4x20 watt amplifier and 6 speakers. It being a low trim, it doesn't mean that the system is not good. It is actually quite good, and the bass is there. You sort of get the mid-range bass with this. The second option was the high performance. Now this had a 4x40 watt amplifier and 8 speakers. Now this was quite good. The best was the premium one, which had a 5x130 digital amplifier
with Dolby Pro Logic surround sound.
It had 14 speakers, including 2 subwoofers, which were controlled separately by a 2x130 watt amplifier.
The pre-facelift C70 had 5-engine variants, which was both the petrol and the diesels. For the petrols, there was the 2.4, which had 138 bhp, and 2.4i, which had 168 bhp, and the top range T5, which had 217. And then for the diesels, there was the 2 liter, which had 134 bhp, and the D5, which had 178 bhp. The roof takes about 30 seconds to fully open and also to fully close. For this function to work, you have to be pretty much stationary, which can be inconveniencing at times. With the roof up, The trunk space is about 368 liters, and with the roof down, it's about 198 liters. Now, to be honest, it's not as bad when the roof is up in terms of the trunk space. With the roof down, there is some considerable space taken by the roof itself, as you see in this video. By pressing the yellow button, the roof is lifted up a little bit just to give you access into the boot space, which is a bit limited still. Now, one of the good things of having and actually owning this car is that it's a rare car. It's got a timeless design, if I may say so. It's also got a three-piece top, which is quite nice when it's coming down and it's up. And because the three-piece top, it gives enough space for for adults to fit inside. At the time of its release, it was rated as one of the safest convertibles on the market. It is a comfortable cruiser. You could do miles and miles of motorway driving with this car, especially with the roof down in summertime. Best time ever. It has a clean interior design, though at times it's a bit too clean to the point where you might not see or appreciate the features that it actually has, because it's a bit too clinicalized, if I might say, if that is the word. Now onto some of the stuff that you might find annoying when owning a C70 is that it didn't come with a rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive versions. Car feels a bit sloppy when the roof is down. The roof takes up to 30 seconds to open and close, and you have to be stationary for you to be able to use that function. Now, because it shares parts with Ford, you realize that most of the parts that break down are Ford parts. So that could be the wheel bearing, the mount struts, especially the rear mount struts, and also on the C70, the T5 and the T5, you will find that the driver's side drive shaft tends to go bad quite quick. The common symptoms of the drive shaft going bad is usually vibrations throughout the whole body. You normally feel it around 40 to 60 miles per hour. Another problem with the C70s, which is quite a common problem, is the door latch failure. This normally happens when the roof is down. So this means that you could be cruising down the road and you could go over a bump and the door just slightly opens randomly on its own. It might not fully open to the point where it is quite dangerous, but it is really quite unsettling. It is quite surprising they didn't do a recall, because another model that's been affected is the S60 and the V60 from 2011-2017. It's had the same issue, and Volvo has attributed it to the heat being one of the major problems that causes the failure of the mechanism itself. Another thing that I don't like about the C70 is the turning circle. Now, this is not only to the C70 but other Volvo models as well. It almost makes 3-point turns impossible in this car. Now, because it's not a common car, it's quite hard to get companies that do mods for these vehicles. That means the C70, the C30 and the S40. There used to be a company called Heiko, but at the moment they seem not to be focusing on the C70. So yeah, you will stay stuck with this car. It is quite hard to get aftermarket infotainment upgrades for this car. There is one aftermarket Android system which is available on the market, but it's quite expensive for what it actually gives you. And for what it looks like, this is pretty much what it looks like. It looks a bit basic.